I'm Tedder.
I'm Weber.
And we're Tedder and Weber. Welcome to episode 11.
11. It's getting harder to do. I'm going to start holding the card.
We should have a or I could just, do something with my sequins.
Oh, no. Wait. Are they mermaids?
No, they're not.
I love this, by the way.
This is, I may never not wear it now because I see how shiny it is and beautiful.
Sparkly.
I like sparkles.
She is glittery and sparkly.
I am.
I know.
Inside and out.
It's true.
Okay. So your weekly check-in last week was so awesome. And I'm super thankful that you shared it. And so I kind of wanted to share something that happened to me this week.
Yes.
So we've been talking, we did a whole episode on boundaries. I don't remember what episode number it is.
8, I think.
I think it's 8.
I think it's 8. You can go back and look at it.
So it's a
labeled.
super long episode about boundaries. And I found it interesting because we talked about that, and then I had a situation where I've talked to you guys actually about this person that I've had to kind of create these boundaries for. And it was really the first time I've ever done that because I'm kind of like a always available kind of person, and I let everyone know everything about me. I'm really not a closed book, so to speak, in any capacity, really. So boundaries have always been something that's really hard for me.
Right.
And it's actually you that kind of helped me say but it's not a negative. It's really just so that you can honor God and love that person the way God loves them. And so that helped me tremendously. And so previously I had kind of identified these boundaries in my head, and I never told the person. I didn't think it was applicable, and it really wasn't. But this past week, I kind of broke my own boundaries.
What?
Yeah.
No.
I did. And I did. So I don't want to give too many details because it's personal, but excuse me. I also have asthma, but
happy spring.
I know, right? And so I had kind of let this person closer than they should have been. Mm-hmm. And I knew going into this situation that was happening, and so I kind of tried to just pray through it. And it ended up I don't have another word besides tragic.
Yeah, I think that's probably a very accurate description. It was explosive. It was a nightmare, quite frankly. But I realized that I definitely didn't react the way that I think I once would have. In the past, I'm Italian. I'm fiery a little bit in there. I'm Irish and German, so I get it.
Yeah, you're cool. You get it. You get me. So besides speaking with my hands, I can have no problem with a verbal discussion that maybe gets heated. But in this so crazy situation, I literally just kind of went into protection mode for my family. And my little people more realistically. And I realized, well, you kind of pointed out, I would not have reacted that way. A couple, I think it's actually pre-children is when I would have kind of reacted negatively. But now that I have little eyes watching me, I behave a little bit differently. And so I kind of just went into protection mode and removed myself and my family from the situation. And really what that did for me was it allowed me to kind of say, those boundaries are there for a reason.
Right. And since those boundaries were violated.
Yeah. It was me. I willingly said, sure, we can partake in this activities because I want to support everyone, but now it just turned volatile.
But had you, with those boundaries being violated, whether willfully or unwillfully, is, I think, irrelevant, but you quickly realized how important they were in being able to love someone.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would have just been you're dead to me, you know?
And I think that's the biggest thing I've learned over the past couple months too. So.
Absolutely. I mean, like, in the moment, you know, I was texting the few people that like support me and will pray for me, like no matter what the situation is, and I was kind of giving a play-by-play of my events, and one of them followed up and was like, "I'm just checking on you. Like, what ended up happening?" And I was like, I can't even talk about this. Like, it was so awful. It was raw. I'm unwilling at this moment to discuss it with you until I process it alone and with God. And so
that's another healthy boundary.
Yeah, so true. So I would not have done that like a year ago. Yeah. But you know, it allowed me the space really to kind of say, okay, the boundaries were violated willingly on my part, and here's what I've learned. And I was able to say, you know, this is not something I'm willing to ever put myself or anyone else through again, because I think if it happened again, I wouldn't be able to kind of handle it so gracefully. I willingly violated my own boundaries. And I think I was more cognizant of my reactions because I knew that I did this. I entered into this situation willingly. And so now I've been like, yeah, no, boundaries are on lockdown. Like, they will never be violated ever again at this point.
But that allows you to have some sort of interaction rather than nothing.
It's still pretty rough for me. But yes, I think that you're right. Eventually, I'll be able to get there.
You know, without those boundaries, there's no chance of
no. If I didn't have, you're right. I would be like, sorry, we're done. I'll never speak to you again. You'll never see me, my family, whatever. Yeah. Yep. And that's just not who God tells us to be.
Right.
And so
He doesn't tell us to be a doormat.
No.
But He does tell us to love one another.
Correct. And I can't love if...
we have to figure out that delicate balance. And in our human state, it is not easy.
That's true.
By any means.
That's true. So I'm just thankful for honestly, this video series and what we have discussed in writing about comparison and how the conversation of boundaries kind of came out of that. And I just kind of wanted to share with you guys, like, if you are in a situation that, like, you're contemplating, you know, like shortening your boundaries or lessening them in some capacity, just remember that they're there for a reason.
And pray about it. I mean, you know, sometimes you can relax boundaries.
Yeah, true.
But there's also a lot of circumstances that you can't.
Right. Or like you think you might be able to, like it's time, and then you realize.
Right, and then you get...
It's not the case.
You have a bad experience or whatever.
Yeah. It was pretty tough.
But you're here.
Yeah.
And you're able to start processing things. And you're able to say, okay, how do I get back to a point where I can live with this the way that it is? I don't have to compromise my boundaries that I've put in place to protect myself, my family, and whoever else would be impacted. So I think that that's huge growth.
Yeah,
and I think that you need to recognize that was a huge win for you.
Yeah,
because
it was.
You got the confirmation that boundary is supposed to be there.
Oh, did I? Oh, did I?
Yes, it's funny. God always seems to get through to us somehow or some...
very, very loudly.
The more we're like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
The more He's like, hey.
So true.
So I think that this was, it may have been a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
But I think that it came from a good place. You were like, okay, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
But I think that when your boundaries are violated in a, we'll use the word tragic way.
It was, there's no other word.
It really is an eye-opening experience. Yeah. And you start to realize that those boundaries are not to be mean. They're there to protect people.
Correct.
They're there to protect the commandment that they're given.
Correct. And it's not just about protecting me or my family. It's about protecting my actions so that I can honor God with my actions.
And think about this too. It's also about protecting the other person, whether you want to or not.
Correct.
Because it diffuses the situation.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't have full access, they have no choice but to de-escalate.
True.
So
that's true.
That's just my
So thank you for helping me work through that.
No, I think you did great.
Yeah, it was tough, but we're on the other side of it, and God showed me what I needed to see through it. And, a few years ago, if I hadn't, done the work and fought for those boundaries and fought to protect the things that God has given me, it wouldn't have happened that way.
No, I agree.
So it would have not been good.
But you took the moment and you sat back and you said, okay.
Yeah, for me to even tell people that are close to me, like, I can't even discuss this with you. Yeah. That's ginormous. Like, I don't ever do that. I am like very readily available to share what's happening in my life and give updates. And I was so emotionally beat down that I didn't even have the headspace. And honestly, I needed to protect what I was processing. Like, I really needed that space with my husband, with someone who experienced it with me, to, you go over it over and over again in your brain and like, how did this even come to this? Right. And then, you recognize, oh, okay, you violated your own boundaries. That's what happened. So boundaries reacclimated.
Right. Let's try this again.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's a huge one, and I thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Because I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been like, oh, let's just try this. And, and like you said, boundaries are very hard for me to set too.
Very hard for me.
And when I started realizing that they were a way for me to continue showing Christ's love by putting those boundaries up there so that I wasn't being
I'm honestly like a little bit trembly, honestly. Yeah. Like, even just sharing it was so raw and so volatile that like I just like needed to kind of get it out, and I was still just kind of like, like just thinking about it.
But you were vulnerable and able to talk through it, and I appreciate it, and I think other people will benefit from it as well.
Because I wouldn't have shared.
I know,
like it wouldn't have helped someone.
Right. Yeah, because there's from a behind the sscenes perspective, there's a lot that goes on that we talk about, and I'm like,
that one's not gonna make it.
And earlier tonight, you were like, talking about. No,
that one's not going to go on.
That one's not going on. So
we're vulnerable, we're real, we're raw, but there's definitely still some stuff that we're not.
There's some situations
for personal reasons, but also because like I don't want to get on here and gossip about people in my life that like know me and know what I'm referencing, because it's not gossip. It's literally just me like we're processing situations and learning how to claim healing from them instead of a victim mentality or like letting the enemy kind of take claim of them in some way.
And twist it.
So, that's all this is. That's a space that we want to kind of create here.
Yep. It is a safe space. So, thank you for sharing.
Not a problem. I mean, a little bit of a problem, but not really. Other than a little tremble, it's no big deal.
Other than the fact I'm nauseated, but it's fine. It's fine.
Just a small amount. No. That's why I had to bust out the glitter, because I knew it was going to be. I'm like, if I can just see some glitter, then I'll know I'll be okay.
I love
when in doubt, add glitter.
Correct. I'm like, when in doubt, wear black everything.
I know. My husband yesterday said, I don't know what I was getting ready for, because like I'm covered in like small human bodily fluid most of the day. I don't know what I was doing, but he was like, so are you going to wear black today or all black? I was like, you know what? Probably all black.
I feel attacked.
Only on here do I throw on so much. Everywhere else I'm like black all day, every day.
But her personality
is not black. All right, guys. Well, that is episode 11.
Yep. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
It's 11, right?
Yeah. I think so. Isn't that what we said?
Whatever we said at the beginning, that's an episode in it.
And then I'll say it in the description too, because that's the only way I can keep myself straight.
Oh.
But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, reach out to us, let us know what you're thinking. Hopefully you enjoyed the shorter little tidbits of the real stories.
And we'll keep them coming, long, short, we'll mix it up for you. Watch what you want, share what you want.
I have ADHD, it's all good. Like, it's all fine.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for sticking around.
Have a wonderful week.
Have a good one.
Right,
bye.
Bye.